Have you heard about the Pomodoro technique and have no idea what it's talking about? Well, it's because it doesn't really explain much in the title. In fact, why is it called Pomodoro? Because of the tomato timer. Pomodoro means a type of tomato sauce in Italian, and the creator of it, Francesco Cirillo, was in fact Italian and created this technique in the late 1980s. So why does it matter and why are we talking about it today? Because it's a very effective time management technique. Basically, the premise of it is that if you are struggling to get things done, so if you are prone to, let's say, procrastination, or you have a hard time focusing on getting certain tasks done, if you are somebody that has a problem that lays in sort of the squirrel issue, the Pomodoro technique may be something very useful to you. The premise is that it is breaking up your attention into 25-minute blocks of time. You are then separating those blocks by a 5-minute break. After you have about 4 Pomodoros, meaning after you're working for about 2 hours, you would take a 15 to 30-minute break from your work. During each of these little blocks of tomato time, which, as I said, was named after the tomato timer that he had on his stove, and he just set the timer so it would ding. Each of these blocks basically is taking one task. So if you have a really big project that you're trying to work on, you could break it down and say, during this 25-minute block, I'm going to work on this task from the project. It makes it a little bit easier to tackle big projects. But it is also a wonderful way to take all of those tiny little things that accumulate in your day and in your week and batch them together and do many little blocks in that 25 minutes. So when the technique was set up, the idea was that you do not stop working until that ding goes off. That's why it was based around a tomato timer, because when you're setting that clock, it is denoting that you work up until that ding. You do not stop until that time. So one, it makes you basically like Pavlov's dog. So you're waiting for the ding to know that you can break, but it's also forcing you to break so that you are not just getting into one solid block of time. Now, this is very interesting. If you have ever read Deep Work by Cal Newport, he talks a lot about entering that flow state. That's that Mihail, I think it's Tchaikovsky. I can't pronounce the last name. But in the book Flow, it's talked about that it's not common. You don't hit flow necessarily every day. Maybe you can get into that deep work state often, but you're probably not in your day-to-day sitting down to get into that state of flow. So that means that if you are wanting to sit down and get working, you can start to train yourself to take a 25-minute block. It makes it easier, as I said, those prone to procrastination, those who get overwhelmed by a big task. It makes it easier to just break down something and to just say, I only have to do this for 25 minutes. I don't have to worry about getting into that state of flow because it may not happen today and I may have to slog through it. However, once that timer begins, I can't stop until that ding goes off. So you can, of course, get yourself a little tomato timer. I will say I actually ordered these from like Alibaba or something. And the timer doesn't stop. Like it just goes off and then won't stop going. So I was pretty sad because I wanted to give them out to people and have them as gifts. I'm going to try reordering because I think they're such a fun little thing to give out. But you can pick up your own timer of some sort. I actually have, I buy little clock thingies from Amazon. I have them all over the place. And this one you can go up or down in time. So you can count up or count down. And I also have an app on my computer that will put together a Pomodoro technique. So there's a lot of those out there. I actually found one that like shuts the internet off and does a lot of things so that I stay on task, because sometimes I'm all of a sudden on Facebook or Amazon without realizing it. So if you struggle a little bit with staying on task, or even if you, like me, I've trained myself very well over the years. I can sit down and just get to work and for hours stay there. But sometimes it's allowing yourself to work for that block that works just as much as forcing yourself to work for that block. Think about starting to set 25-minute blocks, break them up by 5 minutes, and after you have 4 Pomodoros, take a longer 15 to 30-minute break. See how it does for you, if it works. If you find great results with it, let me know. That's okay if it doesn't. It's always good to try new things. I'm Sierra Bailey with Doers, Shakers, Makers, and I'm here every Tuesday with a business tip, and I will see you next week.